This is Misfortune Radio with New York Times best-selling author and your host, Doug Andrews.
First, let me comment for a few minutes about why many states will be holding onto tax refunds for months. Now, this was in the USA Today this last week or so. Do you know that residents eager to get their state tax refunds may have to wait a long time this year? The recession has tied up cash and caused officials in a half a dozen states to consider freezing refunds. You know, in one case for as long as 5 months. And so officials in the following states say that they've already had to delay issuing refunds or consider doing so because the state might not have enough cash on hand to cover the checks. Now, wait a minute. I thought this was our money. This is Hawaii, Alabama, North Carolina, Kansas, Idaho, and New York. And so states from New York to Hawaii that have been hard hit by the economic downturn say that they either delayed refunds or are considering doing this because of budget shortfalls. New York, hit with a $9 billion deficit, may delay $500 million in refunds to keep the state from running out of cash, according to the Governor David Patterson. Hawaii's Department of Taxation says some residents may not see state income tax refunds until the end of August. This is according to the Honolulu Advertiser, the big paper there, and it's part of a plan by Governor Linda Lingle to deal with a revenue drop-off by pushing costs into the next fiscal period, which begins in July. So, states often do not have a timetable for refunds because they're in control, because delays are based on cash flow, and most states typically issue refunds within 30 days. But you remember last year, California's massive budget shortfall of more than $20 billion last year prompted it to not only delay tax refunds, but to issue billions of dollars in IOUs to vendors and others who were owed money. If you remember, State Controller John Ching called the delayed payments a shameful chapter in the state's history. I talked about this on Misfortune Radio when those IOUs ended last September. California still faces budget problems, but according to the state's controller, revenue is running ahead of projections so far this year, which is lessening the threat of a repeat. So Californians should expect to receive their hard-earned tax refunds. This is a quote, hard-earned tax refunds. Yeah, they're the ones who took it away from you. But they hope that they don't have to delay your refund this year in California. Well, what does this mean? What should you be doing? One of the ways that people miss out on a fortune each year, this is one of my 31 flavors of missed fortune, is people not claiming enough withholding on their W-4 allowances to get bigger tax refunds. I just go nuts when people tell me, well, golly, I have a forced savings. I can't wait to get my tax refund of $600 or $1,000 or $2,000 in April. And so that's the way I save. And I just go ballistic because why? The government doesn't pay you 1 penny of interest. You should change and increase the withholding allowances instead of giving the government your money at 0% interest and then getting it back in April. If you're lucky, it sounds like now 6 states are going to put you off from receiving your own refund back. Hey, get a clue. You ought to have a system to take that money on a monthly basis and let it grow and compound. Do you know over a 20 or 30 year period that the amount of income tax refunds that people get can add an extra $250,000 to $500,000 to your retirement nest egg? Instead of letting the government take your money and then you get a refund and then most people go out and spend it instead of saving it. I can show you how to develop a system so that you don't waste that money.
This is Misfortune Radio with Doug Andrews.